it is time to work on another pattern from my summer pattern line, and I'm kind of excited. It's this wonderful shirt, which I need to rewrite the instructions for, because apparently when I was going through and doing the rough draft, I forgot half the instructions. I forgot how to put on the ruffle. Like, that's what makes this shirt interesting, and I just completely forgot how to do it. Anyway, you guys don't care about that. You care about making this, so let's just get to... What was that? Let's just get to the video. So this is SP21-07. I cut it out last fall when I was making a lot of flannel things, but I never sewed it. And I have 2 of them cut out, so let's just start sewing, I guess. I do this a lot. I have a lot of like cut out, half-finished projects, and I just need to start going through and finishing them. It's easier said than done. The first step in this adventure is to work on the yoke, specifically the back yoke piece, so that way we can put in the facing, I guess is what that's called. Why am I questioning myself? We're gonna put in the facing on the back so that way we can have a nice slit so we can get this thing on and off and over our heads and whatnot. Okay, so you can see the stitching where I've basically stitched like a U shape. And I'm gonna cut right down the center and then make sure I cut into these corners so it'll turn nice. Alright, I have cut and turned. You can see clipping into the corners allowed that to just lay really nicely right there. And this creates a little bit of a keyhole so that way I'll have room to get my head in. That's the whole purpose of putting in this facing. This is going to be in the back, and we're going to put a button closure, so realistically it'll overlap a little bit, so you'll get like a little detail down there. The last step for the facing is to fold under the raw edges and top stitch them down. This will just ensure that the facing doesn't roll out at all and all the edges stay nice and clean and don't get really like gross and dye, as we know raw edges tend to do. Once the facing is put in the back yoke piece, go ahead and sew the shoulder seams, and then we'll put on the collar. The collar is pretty much like every other collar that we have put on this channel. You sew it in half on the short side, you pin the right side of the collar to the wrong side of the shirt, do the flip-de-doo thing, and stitch it. You know, we've talked about this. There's a lot of collars and cuffs in this seasonal line, so yeah. The next step is to match up the body pieces with the yoke pieces by gathering down the body to match the yoke and then sewing them together. So they are just happy front back pieces now. If I had actually been, you know, thinking, I would have sewn on the sleeves at this point, but my brain was onto the ruffle, so we'll just move on to the ruffle right now. I had 2 options. I could either gather down 160 inches of fabric and hope that my gathering stitches didn't break, or I could pleat it. And you know, I didn't trust myself to like not break those gathering threads, so I just pleated it. Which, if you remember my bell project, it hurt, I hated it, wasn't my favorite thing. But I did it on both shirts actually because it was so much preferable to gathering. After the ruffle was done, I realized that I needed to sew on the sleeves, so we went ahead and attached the sleeves head to the arm's eye, just so we could have a flat, mostly flat, big piece. Okay, so I don't think I explained how to pin on the ruffle really well in the instructions, so here we go. So you really just want to like create a square, basically. I know that the yoke goes under the arm, but that'll just like be weird and it'll bunch up and feel awkward. But if you create a straight line, then when you go to like sew everything on, you really only have to like round 4 curves and everything else is just going to be nice and smooth. And it works best if you just like lay everything out flat, and then you can like pin it on and get everything even. I do have a little bit of extra, which kind of surprised me, but that's okay. It's probably because I pleated instead of gathered. So I'll just cut this and hem it, and then we'll be good. I am going to sew the ribbon on probably the same time that I sew the, what's it called? Ruffle? The ruffle on. Truthfully, you should probably baste your ruffle on it before putting the ribbon on to finish those edges. I just couldn't be bothered. I'm a lazy sewist. Is that lazy or is that just time efficient? I don't know. Now that all the decorative bits are on, it is time to sew up the sleeve and side seam all in one go. It is not as intimidating as it seems, I promise. Just make sure that you sew up both sides so that way like you don't keep going and then think that your shirt's done but you still have a whole other side to do. I've never done that before. It's just not speaking from experience at all. The cuffs get applied in a similar way to the collar, only the extra fabric from the sleeves gets pleated or gathered down into the cuffs. We already know my stance on gathering today. I chose to pleat. Pro tip, which I have found recently and absolutely love. I like to switch out my regular foot for my zipper foot when I go to do edge stitching. That way I get a nice crisp, clean line. It's just scrumptious. And it's like minimal work on my end. I just like make sure things are lined up. It kind of just like stays in place. It doesn't get wonky. The last step is to do the button closure at the center back of the neck to just close up that slit facing whatever we want to call it. I probably should have done this step when I was working on the collar, but hey, as long as it gets done, right? Somewhere in all of that, I hemmed the bottom of the shirt, but I also forgot to film it because it's what happens. You can't catch everything on film. There has to be some mystery. And that, my friends, is how you make the Ruffle shirt, or SP21-07. This shirt is super cute. Actually, all three versions of the shirt that I have are super cute. And I really like them, and I hope you guys really like them too. What am I saying? I know you like them because you loved it in the spring lookbook. I have proof. That's why I'm giving you guys the pattern. Like I said before, this pattern will be available on July 5th along with the rest of the summer pattern line. If you would like to browse what's in the catalog already, there's a link down in the description. And if you are seeing it after July 5th, then it's available. I guess I should say July 5th, 2021 because this video is gonna like live for years. So yeah, July 5th, 2021. Get your pattern. That is all I have for you guys today. I will see you on Monday for a new video and live on Thursday. Bye, friends!